y'all? This is Sledrorodriguez. Welcome back to my channel. Alright, man, we about to check out unedited LA Component Rhino #9 freestyle. I'm gonna be using my phone, you know what I'm talking about? Just making it, you know what I'm saying? Just working with what I got, you know, making it out of no way. But let me just take out the trash real quick. Oh yeah, it's raining today, so today was my day off. Do I gotta go there? Today's my day off. So I might grab some food. Man, I don't get paid till next week type shit. I stole the bike. Check out my bike. Y'all see the bike I took. Fuck it. I gotta get my Pepsis. These damn cups I got though. I gotta clean these motherfuckers. I'm gonna be using this one though. I'm using another one. Use this one. days, you know what I'm talking about? I love it more when rainy days means I ain't gotta go to work. That's what's up, you know what I'm talking about? It'd be better if I had some money in my motherfucking pocket, though. I do got some money. You see, I'm good right now, but I'm saying, like, and this shit look fire. But I'm saying, like, if I had, like, feels payday for me, you know what I'm talking about? All right, man, let's get back to the Wolves, though. All right, so we finna watch the freestyle, right? See the A&M freestyle. I don't even want to no more. Let's see what the fuck we get into, man. Well, all right, listen. This looks interesting. What was Kurt Cobain like? Bruce Pavitt. Pop. Discuss. Alright, let's check that shit out.
Meet the new Target Circle, the best way to get more Target.
Mine's Advanced Health, with clinically proven omega ratio for skin and coat.
What was Kurt like as a person, aside from the music?
Well, he was very outgoing on stage, but off stage he was pretty quiet. He was philosophical. I had published this book called Experiencing Nirvana, and it's essentially us traveling with Nirvana for a week in Europe. Let me just share some of that story a little bit, because that's a time when I really had an opportunity to hang out with Kurt. So this is late November in '89. They had spent 6 weeks in a van with the Tad Band. So you have 2 bands in a van traveling, crisscrossing Europe, getting super fried, right? So we get this message that Kurt is not doing well. Like, he is emotionally distraught. He's really fried. We know that there's this big showcase in London in a week, and we've got to get him to the show. So John and I scraped up some nickels and flew to Rome and met the band there. And I remember walking into the club, and Kurt was pretty receptive. We had some dinner. Things seemed to be going okay, but that night Kurt had a breakdown on stage, climbed a PA, threatened to jump, came backstage, told the band that the band was over. They was breaking up the band. He literally, I'm just going to say, a nervous breakdown on stage. So John went for a walk outside. Was breaking up the band. He literally, I'm just going to say, a nervous breakdown on stage. So John went for a walk outside with him, and Kurt said, when I look out in the audience, I'm seeing the kids who used to beat me up in high school. That's what I'm seeing. So that's kind of where he was coming from. Again, I told you he was a quiet, sensitive kid. He got harassed in high school.
That's deep, bro.
A lot. So what we did is we told, the rest of the musicians just to head on up to Geneva, Switzerland, and that we would catch up via train. So what we did is we spent a day in Rome, seeing the sights, going to the Vatican, going to the Colosseum, eating good food, drinking good coffee, and taking a train up to see the rest of the band. So I got to spend a day in Rome with Kurt, along with my business partner, Jonathan. And the more I got to know Kurt, again, he was shy and not that talkative, but because I had a whole day to spend with him, I got to know what a deep thinker he was, and just a very interesting character. And just because he was quiet off stage didn't mean that he didn't have a lot of thoughts going on. So he was very appreciative of taking that time out to really
Definitely, he probably just wasn't used to sharing him and didn't trust nobody,
experience the city. It was at that moment that I realized that this guy is very intelligent creative person. And we appreciative of taking that time out to really experience the city. It was at that moment that I realized that this guy is very intelligent creative person.
And were you surprised at all by that?
Yeah, I was actually. He was exceptionally intelligent, And, I'd seen him at shows, and we, met at the office and so forth, but he didn't really say a whole lot. Chris did most of the talking when you were dealing with the band. So once I really got exposed to the depth of his personality, I had a deeper level of respect for him. And I was also seeing, after that, they played some shows, we followed them, they played London, they had some new tracks, their show was dialed, and you could just see that the band at that point, by late 89, they were really coming into their own, and Kurt's songwriting was really getting more dialed. It was a turning point for me because up until that time, most of my focus was on Mudhoney. I knew those guys, they were killing it, and Nirvana was just kind of like the opening act. The guys from
Yeah, right. Who the fuck is Meat Honey or Honey, whatever the fuck you said?
Aberdeen, who are pretty good. That's kind of where we were at. But as a group, their creativity just continued to accelerate, and that's, to me, the most fascinating part of the story is they grew so quickly.
When was the first time you really started to notice that growth?
Well, I'll tell you, we saw them. They came up to do a showcase in mid-April of '88. This was just a few weeks after John and I opened our offices. That summer, they recorded their first single for us, Love Buzz, which sounded great. It was a cover, though, again, showing you that Kurt's songwriting hadn't really matured. So the first single we released was a cover. We released it in November of 1988. The next day,
I didn't even know that was a cover. I thought he actually wrote that. You know what I'm talking about?
one of my best friends, Charles Peterson, the photographer who had documented much of the scene, called me up and said, I threw a party last night, and I threw on Love Buzz, and we just kept playing it over and over and over. So, yeah, that was kind of my first hint when that single came out and got a tremendous response. One issue that came up with the single, an anecdote that a lot of people aren't familiar with, is when we released the single itself, it had a spoken word intro, kind of a little montage that you can't really find on the CD. But when he originally brought it to us, he wanted a 45-second montage that was very surreal and interesting, but I had to step in and be the corporate ogre and say, you know what? A little snippet of that is going to grab people's attention, but not 45 seconds. So Kurt and I would go back and forth on some of the creative stuff, and I felt it was a healthy relationship.
What was your relationship like with Kurt?
Kurt and I were,
That nigga looks anal. I'm on my.
I would say we were friends. We were colleagues for sure. We had a good rapport. You have to remember, though, that Kurt was living in Olympia.
Cliff Bar is made with organic oat.
He said we was friends because he's trying to be nice. And then he said we colleagues for sure. Yeah, y'all colleagues for sure.
But I'm made for the cool.
Cobain had no friends. Real spill.
The most important ingredient is you.
Native is my favorite body wash, and here's why. I have fresh eucalyptus in my shower, so the eucalyptus and mint scent was perfect for me. Native?
At the time, I was living in Seattle, and Kurt really was a hermit of sorts. I remember visiting Olympia and talking to one of my best friends, Calvin Johnson, who ran K
That's a sick pick, bro.
Records, who was also a very good friend of Kurt's. They said, how's Kurt doing? He goes, well, I haven't seen him for 6 months. And you got to realize Olympia is a small town. So Kurt, he liked to sleep in and stay up very, very late. So I didn't see him a whole lot other than the shows and in studio time, but I felt our rapport was really good, and I would say we definitely had a friendship.
So going back to the very beginning of your relationship with Nirvana, from what I understand, when Jonathan Pondman first showed you
I don't think so.
the Dale demo, you weren't really that impressed by it. What was your initial reaction to that demo?
My initial reaction was that I thought it sounded good, that Kurt had a great voice, but the songwriting was a little immature. That was my take. And I still feel that in reviewing their first album, Bleach, I'd say the same thing. There are a couple of classic tracks on there, I think.
It's always the niggas who don't create who be the fucking critics. You
Blue and About a Girl in particular really stand the test of time. But to me, the real star of that album is actually the producer, Jack Endino, because he created a record that just grabbed people with its essentially with its vibe and its presence. And he recorded for $600. So, to me, Jack's the real genius behind that album. Kurt had a great voice, but the amazing thing about working with Nirvana is...
To me, Kurt Cobain was the real genius behind the
Watch.
album. So, you know, and the music, the way that's... Didn't Kurt Cobain teach the niggas how to play guitar and how he wanted it to sound? So Kurt Cobain was really a genius, man. Let's start there. Alright, man, for the end of here, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Comment if you're a part of the video. Tap that notification bell, turn your notifications on. If you guys want to donate my channel, CashApp gonna be in the bottom of the link description. Alright, man, stay tuned. We got big things coming up on this channel.
Them grow and develop and get better and better and better. And that was an amazing thing to experience. Thanks for
I'm
watching.
Rodriguez, and I'll see you guys on the next episode of In the Day in the Life of an Upcoming Rapper. Chase your dreams, and anything's possible. Squad.